Breaking. Britain just turned visa lines into a weapon, and it could land on your doorstep. The new Home Secretary says countries that refuse to take back their own citizens may face immediate visa cuts. Short term, sharp, total. Reuters +1. This is not polite diplomacy. This is leverage. This is punishment by paperwork. The legal tool is already on the statute book. The Nationality and Borders Act 2022 contains powers to restrict or suspend visas for nations that won't cooperate on returns. That is the mechanism now being dusted off. What was once a threat on paper is now being framed as policy in public. Ministers say they will move further and faster to cut the number of people entering by irregular routes. That includes talks with close security partners. Think about what that actually looks like. Student visas, work permits, business travel, family visits, tourist trips, all the little permissions that keep trade, study, and families moving, suddenly runway checked at the gate. Your company pitch, your exchange offer, your holiday plans, all at risk. Why the rush? Because the front line is full. Political pressure is intense. The Home Office is desperate to show action. When politicians face a fast-moving crisis, they reach for big, visible moves. Visa suspensions are loud. They are dramatic. They look decisive, but loud is not the same as safe. These measures carry an immediate diplomatic price. Visa bans do not land neatly on ministers. They hit ordinary people. Students lose places. Nurses can't arrive. Small exporters lose buyers. Universities lose fees. Families can't reunite. That is the human fallout, and it will reverberate back to British shores. And this is not just a one-country stunt. Ministers have been discussing coordination with Five Eyes partners, a move that would scale the pain across multiple Western democracies if it goes ahead. Coordination multiplies consequence. Reuters +1. There is historic irony here. The toolkit being used was born in 2022 as part of a Borders Act aimed at deterring illegal entry. At the time, opponents warned these powers would become a diplomatic cudgel. Today, those warnings are being tested. Now imagine retaliation. Countries blocked from visas can respond with their own measures. Trade friction. Diplomatic tit-for-tat. Visa queues for British visitors. Security cooperation cooled. Jobs and contracts delayed. The collateral damage could be far wider than anyone admits in Downing Street, and there's a political twist. The party that once decried these tools as barbaric and punitive now says it will use them to fix a crisis. That flip is a political grenade. It creates rage on all sides, from voters who say the measures won't go far enough, to rights groups who say they are collective punishment. So what does this mean for you? If you plan to study, work, or do business with Britain, watch this space. If your government is slow to agree return papers, it might be your passport that pays the price. If your employer relies on overseas staff, expect new bottlenecks. If you travel, expect new uncertainty at visa desks. This is more than immigration policy. It is a strategic shift. It rewires how Britain uses soft power by weaponizing access. It could change long-term alliances. It could change who sits at the negotiation table. And it could change the lives of ordinary people who had nothing to do with the political fight. If you want the second half, the deep analysis, the likely retaliation scenarios, and a scripted playbook of what families, students, and businesses should do next, I'll write part 2, the fallout, the political winners and losers, and the exact steps people must take to protect themselves. Visa sanctions are not just a threat. They are a precedent. Once you use paperwork as punishment, every future dispute risks becoming a border dispute. Trade argument? Block visas. Human rights clash? Block visas. Cyber attack? Block visas. The line between immigration control and global leverage starts to blur. That is why former officials always held these powers in reserve. They understood that the first use is the most dangerous. After that, the floodgates are open, and make no mistake, retaliation will come. Countries on the receiving end will not just sit quietly. They can freeze British business contracts. They can lock out UK universities. They can cancel landing rights for airlines. They can squeeze British exports. That hits jobs. That hits growth. That hits ordinary families who never signed up for this diplomatic experiment. The irony? It may not even solve the asylum crisis. Blocking visas abroad doesn't stop small boats crossing the channel. It doesn't fix the backlog of asylum claims inside the UK. It doesn't repair the broken accommodation system. It simply shifts the fight onto a global stage while the domestic chaos keeps burning. So who wins? Politicians gain a headline. They get to stand in Parliament and say, we're taking action. But who loses? Students who can't attend their course, families who miss reunions, workers denied opportunities, businesses cut out of deals. This is not bold leadership. It is a gamble. And if the gamble backfires, Britain could find itself isolated, poorer, and weaker at the negotiating table. The bigger question now is, what comes next? Will Five Eyes allies copy Britain's move, creating a global visa blockade? Or will backlash from trade partners force a retreat? That is the diplomatic bomb ticking right now. One thing is clear. The world has just witnessed Britain cross a line that past governments feared to touch. The fallout could define not just this administration, but Britain's place in the world for decades. And that's why you need to stay tuned. Subscribe right now. Share this video. Join the conversation in the comments. Because the visa war isn't ending here. The next chapter is coming, and when it does, you'll want to be the first to know.